Good morning and welcome to the Celebrate podcast. We're on every Tuesday at 11 live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Lisa McGarry, co-owner of Celebrate Primary Care.
And I'm Della Tootin, the other co-owner of Celebrate Primary Care.
Today we are so lucky to have Jasmine Copeland with us. She's with the Big Brother, Big Sister program that actually just got started back up this summer, and you're going to love to hear this story. It's amazing, and we're so excited that she wants to be on our podcast and share that with you guys. So without further ado, Jasmine, it's nice to have you.
Hi, good morning, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Big Brothers and Big Sisters and the organization and how you got involved.
Yeah, so I initially came on right in the beginning of the pandemic. So it was actually in July that I came on. And we hadn't been here in our community for probably 5 years. And so they were looking for somebody that could kind of serve a lot of different roles and could come in and kind of integrate back into the community as a whole. So ever since then, we have just been working hard to build partnerships and to reach as many families as possible. It's been pretty awesome. Pretty neat experience.
It's great.
So when was Big Brothers and Big Sisters first, born, I guess, in the country?
Mm-hmm. So it's actually over 100 years old.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we really were the pilot to the whole, mentorship experience. And it's just been strong ever since. It's just all over the United States. So it's pretty incredible.
Okay.
Pretty incredible. I really had no idea how big it was until I was hired. And I went to the Tampa office. And when I saw, just what a huge entity it is and just how much...
That's a lot of impact, right?
Just a huge amount of impact. Yeah,
it's pretty, that's awesome.
Pretty amazing.
So the Gainesville location is actually connected to Tampa. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's under the Tampa umbrella, and the Tampa office has a total of 9 counties, and so Alachua is one of the 9. Yeah.
Nice. So they picked Alachua back up.
Thankfully.
And then got you restarted.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved? How did you connect to them? Did they find you?
It was kind of mutual. Yeah. I have a friend that is on the board in Tallahassee, and he knew that I was kind of looking to merge from the education realm over into serving the population that I'd always served, but in a little bit of a different fashion. Yeah. And so once that connection was made, then we just kind of went from there. So it's just kind of one of those things that I really can't explain it, but I know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Right. So your background is in education, okay? And you went to UF as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So I'm one of those that I have not had a little bit of the linear path like a lot of us. And so I kind of feel like that's a little bit why I can relate to a lot of the littles that we serve. So I didn't start school until our 3rd child. We have 3 kids. So our oldest is 22, middle is 16, and the baby is 14. And so I actually didn't start college classes until the baby was 2.5 years old. Wow. And I started going 2 nights a week, and that's what we felt like that we could afford to do as far as time was considered. And so it was always really important for my husband travels, and so it was very important for us as our family as a whole is for me to be with the kids. Yeah. And so we just slowly increased as the kids' class loads increased, we slowly increased my class load. And so the kids were able to see me get my bachelor's degree.
So proud of you, I'm sure. That's exciting.
It was pretty awesome. They saw the struggle. They saw that the effort and the choices that had to be made in order to make that goal happen. And so it's not one that has to be for everybody. I know that that's something that we're constantly looking at is that there's not one way to get to the ultimate. But for me, that was something that I wanted to do. And so they saw that there was a goal and they saw the sacrifice to reaching it. And then they got to see the reward in the end.
Awesome.
So
yeah, that's super cool. That's
so what did you do after your education? You said you finished your bachelor's and then a master's.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I mean, all the way through when the kids were in school, I was always participating in the actual content instruction that was happening in the classroom. So I was never really participated as kind of the PTA mom or anything like that. I really never did any of that. But I always made sure that I wanted to come in and help teach the children. So it was kind of stepping stones. That's when I decided that I wanted to do education. And so when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I graduated in December and I took a job in January. So I stayed in a middle school teaching for 5 years and then shifted over. So I was able to be there for most of the kids' years as they were in the same middle school as I was.
Yeah,
so
that's so fun.
Yeah, it was really
so. This
really
was
pretty
a
neat.
kind of natural transition from
really
the education system into what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us more about what you do in the organization, connecting, the needs and volunteers and all of those things?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say exactly. I feel like that's kind of similar in a lot of situations in life. Like, it's kind of hard to say, what do we do, as a parent? What do we do? I pretty much do whatever that is necessary. I do whatever is necessary. I do whatever the families need. I do whatever the program needs. I do whatever my volunteers need. I never know on a day-to-day basis what kind of call is going to come in. But we intimately get involved with the families. We intimately get involved as we're getting to know our volunteers. And we spend a lot of time getting to learn kind of what needs are there with the families and with the volunteers, what fulfills them, what makes them tick, what type of people. We always start off with our interviews kind of explaining that in the nature of this business with children being involved, that there are going to be questions that I'm going to need to ask that are going to seem like it's intrusive.
Yeah.
But that's not the nature of it. It's not intended to be intrusive. It's intended to understand all the layers that are there that a lot of people don't just see, on a face-to-face kind of value.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's a lot of intimacy involved in it. My husband's Christmas gift to me was AirPods because we were in the middle of the pandemic and there was I'm working outside of my home, and so it just is such a blessing. And my kids have been going to school on campus, but my not everybody is built to be able to do what I do, just like with you guys. Not everybody's built to be able, to handle dealing with medical crisis and when people are. And so not everybody is built to kind of get deep with people the way that I am. So my husband said, I have the best gift for you. And he said, he's like, I am crying listening sometimes to some of the conversations. And but there's a lot of hope involved in it. So you have to get down to the deeper areas in order to break through and kind of find purpose and
that's
awesome. Beautiful.
So when people want to volunteer with you, how do they go about that? And when that conversation happens, what is the expectation of that volunteer? What do you want from them?
Mm-hmm. So the biggest question that people always want to know is how much time. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to know. That's what we're all struggling for. That's what we would buy if we could, and we can't.
Yeah.
And that is our one equalizer is time. We all get the same amount of it. So a lot of times that's what people want to know is how much time. And so there's a lot of flexibility. Since the pandemic, we've only been really running our community-based program, but we also have a site-based program. And so with the community-based program, it looks like about 8 to 10 hours a month. And so for some of our volunteers, they have a really consistent schedule. And so that looks like 2 hours every week. But for other volunteers, I have a flight attendant, so she sees her little a couple of times a week, and then she doesn't see her for a few weeks. And so there's some flexibility, but the key to that is just communication from the very beginning that expectations are known. So to answer your question, community-based is 8 to 10 hours a week. Site-based is about an hour every week. And so that's where the volunteer goes to that site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that typically at a school? Where's the site?
Yeah.
From the home?
So, and that, I really look forward to that in the fall because that will open up an opportunity for us to reach more kids.
Yeah.
And so that will be at the schools. That will be at an after-school program. Could be the YMCA, the Boys Club. You know, really, there isn't anything that's off limits.
Like an aftercare program,
whatever,
or whatever.
wherever we're needed.
Yeah,
wherever we're needed.
So are those referrals that come into you usually from those sites, the EDPs or the, aftercare, or is it families reaching out to you directly? You know, how do you get your referrals for your families?
So in the beginning, when we first came, that was one of the things that was kind of surprising, is that the name Big Brothers Big Sisters is so strong and so fondly looked upon that I thought, how in the world am I going to reach people? How are they going to know that we're here? How are they going to know how to find me? And I was pleasantly surprised that was not the case.
Oh, good.
It just quickly began to spread like wildfire. And so first it was just the families, and then it was the guidance counselors of the schools. And so I'm constantly reached out to by all sorts of different
awesome.
people. So really it's just kind of keeping it on the forefront of people's minds that we're here and that we're a resource. And if we can't help for some reason, if there's some sort of a detail that needs to be catered to in a different fashion, there are other programs in town that we can refer to.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any events coming up?
Well, I guess I would say that the largest event that we have coming up is just preparing for the fall. Is
Okay.
preparing for we a lot of the larger counties have activities, and so since I have been serving as a one woman show, we have not chosen to focus as much on our activities. Also with the pandemic in mind, we've more so focused on the nurturing aspect. And so, but we're continuing to build partnerships, and anytime we have an opportunity that somebody is willing to open it up to our matches, we always make sure to take advantage of those opportunities.
Now,
But
what about fundraising?
we haven't done any of that locally. We'll be doing it
Yeah.
at the Tampa office. They have a gala that's coming up in September,
Nice.
and so that's wonderful. And I actually think that they're looking to maybe do that in person. They have just different events that are popping up. It's been different.
Oh, of course.
Everything
It's
has been so different.
weird.
Yeah.
It's been like hard
Yeah.
for all of us
Yeah.
in every capacity. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
So although the timing was a little odd, to come into the program and to start right in the beginning of a pandemic,
perfect.
it was also so perfect.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you
the
can ramp
needs.
slowly, and you just
Yes.
the opportunity for your growth and the whole thing to grow was like
Yeah.
nice and slow,
Yeah,
right? It just
yeah.
didn't feel like, maybe it did feel overwhelming, but probably less so if we hadn't been in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, it was manageable. It was manageable compared to the needs that were out there,
Yeah.
So in
yeah.
comparison, yeah.
So what is your, I guess, funding source other than donations?
So we are in each county. There's different organizations. So we started off with a little bit of funding from the Children's Trust,
Okay.
and that got us kind of started. And so they're still working through some of their funding cycles. So they haven't been an ongoing funding entity for us, but we are recently started a partnership with United Way, and so United Way.
Well, we're small business partners with United Way.
Okay,
So we
yes.
donate monthly, and so part of our funding is matched, and then it goes to the program. So that's exciting. Yay!
Yes, it's
so
very
we're
exciting.
inadvertently helping, and that makes me happy.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. Thank you
Yeah,
very much
that's
for that.
cool.
Yeah. So we're kind of going through all of the paperwork and getting
Yeah.
everything in as far as that's concerned. And what that will mean is we'll just be able to continue to grow. So we'll bring on more
That's
people and reach
exciting.
more families.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I assume that through the Tampa, larger entity of your organization, they're the ones who would process a volunteer and do all the background checking. Is that how that works?
No, so typically within a county, you would have an individual who just does that. And so that's me who does that. Yeah. So
you're doing all the things. It's like, oh, this hat. And then I got this hat.
Awesome. It's awesome.
You know all the things now, right? You know what everybody does and how they do it because you've done it.
I love it. And I love all my volunteers. I've gotten so close to just and it's just amazing to me how many people we have with just incredible hearts that are willing to give up.
This community is amazing.
Amazing.
I mean,
it has really floored me. I mean, it's just endless. And when everybody kind of pulls together and everybody has different strengths, and some people are so good at social media, some people are so good at planning activities and finding local events, and some people are so good about, bringing more people into our organization. And it just all kind of works and pairs together so beautifully.
Love it. That's great.
Okay. So right now it's just you, but you said that you have somebody new coming on.
We do.
That's exciting.
Yes, I'm super excited. I can't wait to kind of do a formal announcement for her. And but she'll start on Monday. So she's kind
so close. You're almost there.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to kind of share this with somebody else. So that will be fun. Yeah. And she's amazing. So she'll do great things.
Awesome. So how can we support you, and how can anybody watching support you?
Yeah, just continuing to spread the word, continuing to spread that we're here, continuing to spread that we're a resource to families, continuing to share the information that volunteers are needed. We really have a shortage of males. So we have, yes, we really do. Unfortunately, that is something I think I'm going to be saying throughout my entire journey, is that we have a shortage of males. I feel like male volunteers are drawn to helping out on the sports fields, right? We have so many incredible coaches, and they can still do that within our organization, but they're not as quick to lean in toward into the one-on-one. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's really where we are different. Is that our mentorships? It is a one-to-one relationship. So many of our littles have to share so many things.
Right.
It's this one thing that's theirs.
Yeah.
And so it is a one-to-one relationship, and you can still, tie in athletics with it.
Sure.
It's just, I don't think it's just considered for some reason. So just reminding, males, and we're always looking for diversity overall. And so we want to have volunteers that have walked the same walk as our littles, for them to be able to share that.
Well, and relate, it was like I was here, things weren't great, went through a lot, worked really hard, did all the things. Now I'm here. Exactly. I mean, it's like hope, having them that opportunity to do that. So that's cool.
For sure.
And the example is, important for them.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is very important. Yeah.
That's cool.
So tell us about, I see the website up here. Is that the best way to connect with you?
It is, yeah. So the Tampa website is www.bbbstampabay.org.
Okay.
And so if anybody's interested in becoming a volunteer, they can go to Be a Big. And when you scroll down, so one of the things with the pandemic, a way that we were able to pivot is we have the virtual training sessions. So you don't even have to pre-register. You can just go to it and just jump on, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home with keeping in mind that your camera needs to be on. And so, and then once you complete a training, you get a certificate. And once your certificate is in and you've filled out an application, then you showing that you're an Alachua County resident, then you get flagged to me. And then that's when I reach out and schedule an interview and start to learn who they are.
And how to connect.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as a volunteer, once you're, in that system, is there ongoing training? Like what kind of support's available, right? So it feels scary, right? For somebody like, I'm going to have this one-on-one relationship with a kid, and I'm supposed to mentor them and help them get to the next level. And I don't have the tools, and I don't know how. And what if I mess them up worse, or whatever those insecurities are, right? Like, so tell me about, as a volunteer, like what ongoing training, and are you connected to other volunteers? Like, do you get to meet them and have them as support? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, all of those things.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that's one of the things I love, is that the training is so intensive. I mean, it's just incredible. And there's just every area is discussed, and there's just so many opportunities for the volunteers. So as we're going through the interview process and through all of the questions, the initial interview with me takes about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. And so we talk about everything under the moon in that amount of time. And so throughout that, that we learn, is there additional training that's needed?
Yeah.
But then there's also this compatibility component. And so it's not necessarily, who comes first and gets paired. That's not how it is at all. And so I could have, somebody, a volunteer, and I have had one that sat for a half a year. And bless her heart, she kept, reaching out to me, do you have one for me? And I'm like, remember, it's about the right one. It's not about a little.
Yeah.
And then the right one came along for her. And so, and then you tie in the little. Well, she also, in this case, it could be a she, could be a he, comes with these other layers, right? And so then there could be additional training that needs to be assigned in order
based on that
to
environment.
prepare. Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Cool.
and it's a 4-way partnership. So you have the little, you have the big. And so that's what we call, our children and our mentors. And then you have the parent or guardian, whatever is the case for the scenario in that household. And then you have your match support specialist. So that's your big brothers, big sisters person that's there to walk this walk with you. And, it's funny because the volunteers, I kind of feel like, sometimes they're like, well, that isn't necessary. And it's quickly, there's almost a gauge that you can find. You go through this process, and I always ask the volunteers, when we do these constant communications, what would you say to a new person coming into us? What advice would you give to them? And one of the feedbacks that I always get is, that's a lot to get into your program. There's a lot. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of references. There's fingerprints. There's interviews.
Well, yes, of course. It needs to be a lot.
And it does. And that's why we have had, such good safety protocols. So good that the officers in the counties are always willing to partner with us because we do such a good job with that.
Yeah, I
The
think that's
screening.
important. Is
Very
the screening
important.
and the safety, because a lot of people have had bad experiences and are afraid.
Very
to let
important.
their kids to get involved with an organization, but that is important for people to know.
Very important. And there's a humility that's involved. When you come to us and you're looking to bring in an outside person, there's a huge amount of humility that has to be, you're vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. And, I always tell the mamas, in that somewhere along the way in the process, is that I just appreciate them. I'm thankful for them that they're willing to be vulnerable for us. So there's a responsibility on our end to make sure that their family is safe. And so, so training.
What about age you said littles? Like, tell me about the age range and that kind of thing, and then how someone would refer a little.
Mm-hmm. So we do enrollment from age 5 to age 13.
Okay.
And so, and again, some people will come to me directly. We don't have, so our volunteers do a training beforehand, before anything. That's always the first step is training. And they might have spoken to me before the training, or they might just pop up in my system and they went to the training because they did a Google search or something. But the parents don't go through the training. And so the training kind of happens with us. And so we kind of educate them, along the way, and support their family as a whole. And we have so many, wonderful community resources with partnership with Strong Families and the libraries, and just so many things that we kind of utilize and offer support as things come about.
That's
As
good.
needed. Yeah.
Awesome. So, we appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me on.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm so appreciative. I'm so appreciative for you having me on and letting me share our mission
it's
and just being a
exciting.
part of it.
We appreciate your
thanks.
time.
We'll
and
put your web page back up there so people know
Please.
how to connect to you.
Yeah.
And, I think that you'll have lots of influx of people interested for volunteering positions, and
Thanks.
we
I
look
really
forward to
appreciate
working
it.
with you.
Yeah, me
Yes.
too.
It's
We'll cross
exciting.
paths.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. So, thank you all for watching. We appreciate your time today. Thank
And-
you, Jasmine, of course.
Yes, and for the weekly health tip.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So
Jeez.
the weekly health tip. So people need to start thinking about health screenings, so annual health screenings that you need to stay up to date on. So that would be mammograms, pap smears, annual physicals, colonoscopies, depending on your age, depending on where you are. So if you're a patient with us, please contact your provider to check in on those needs. And if we aren't your provider,
come in for your physical exam.
Yes, and if we aren't your provider, please check in with your medical provider and
get your labs done and do all the things you're supposed to do to take care of you, because you healthy makes a difference to everyone in your life.
Yeah, keep that on your radar, especially coming up on the summer. I think people get in vacation mode and wanting to get out, but that's got to be on your list for the summer. So
absolutely.
Thanks for being here today with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you again.
All right.
So we'll see you next week at 11 live on Facebook and YouTube. We want to thank Elio with the Fiesta Media for being the best producer ever. We love his energy. We love what he does every week for us, and we appreciate him so much. So we'll see you next week.
See ya.